At the Constellation Fund, we make every decision with one question in mind. What will have the greatest impact for those living in poverty in the Twin Cities? And to answer this question, Constellation relies on evidence about what is working best for the community. Then we direct 100% of the donations we receive to the most efficient and effective nonprofit organizations we can find. Before we make a funding decision, we carefully estimate the expected poverty-fighting benefits that an applicant organization provides to individuals and families experiencing poverty in the Twin Cities. We use the best available evidence to predict increases to income and improvements to health that accrue to individuals due to an organization's work. At the heart of this quantitative analysis is what we call a metric. Constellation creates a custom metric for each activity that we examine. The metric is how we assemble the best available evidence about an intervention and use it to quantify the benefits in terms of increased income or improved health, and finally, calculate the poverty-fighting impact of an organization's work. We've built nearly 200 metrics, and we're still adding more. Now, I'm going to walk you through how we do it. Every metric starts as a conversation. Our impact team sits down with staff members from the applicant organization, and we really dig into the details of their work. We're trying to figure out what programs are they implementing, who are they serving, and how intensive is that work, and what impact do they expect this will create in the lives of their participants. Constellation uses this information to create a metric that estimates the specific benefits that come from each program. The metric will tell us how much more money someone will earn due to the program and what improvements to that person's health the program will deliver. Here's what one of our metrics looks like. This one predicts the income gains that come from an adult literacy program. Each Constellation metric has three parts: the equation, an explanation of each equation component, and the sources or references that support those explanations. We start work on a metric by conducting a thorough literature review of academic research on the income and health benefits from similar programs. Our impact team picks out the most rigorous study designs and uses those findings to determine an average effect size per program participant for a particular intervention. We will often average the findings from many studies in order to incorporate the likeliest outcome into our metric. Since the effect size from an intervention can vary depending on the population served and the intensity of the intervention, we ask the organization to share data on the number of people in their program, the program duration, the average participant age, their income levels, race and ethnicity, and more. Next, our impact team dives into local data sets containing demographic information and real-world outcomes to determine what would have likely happened to the program's beneficiaries without the intervention. This helps us determine the counterfactual, which is our best estimate of what would have happened on average to the same individuals if they had not been part of the program we are examining. For example, say Constellation evaluates a program that helps youth succeed in high school, and that program graduates 95% of its students. Before we can understand the impact of the organization's work, we have to first find the graduation rate for similar students in the metro who are not part of the program. Let's say that turns out to be 85%. That tells us that 10% of the students are likely graduating because of the program's extra support. The counterfactual research is included in our metric, often differentiated by age or for different racial and ethnic groups. Counterfactuals are key to understanding the actual impact being created by a program. So those are the main parts of a metric, but there are others as well. There's a discount rate. It accounts for the fact that $1 today is worth more than $1 tomorrow. Sometimes we include a referral adjustment if the work is performed by multiple organizations and we need to parse which benefits are directly attributable to the applicant organization. And then, of course, before we call it done, we cite our work in the references. And with that, we have one draft metric. The Constellation team is always working on many different metrics at a time, and it can take over 6 months to fine-tune all of the metrics we need to get an evaluation exactly right. Our evaluations can include upwards of 20 metrics, each of which reflects a different program or activity the applicant is conducting to help fight poverty here in the Twin Cities. Keeping track of all of this requires lots and lots of spreadsheets and checklists. So once we have a metric for each activity and all the specific program data, we put it all together to estimate the total benefits from an organization's work. The benefits are then weighed against the program and associated administrative costs to calculate what's my favorite part of this whole process, truly, the benefit-cost ratio. This helps us understand the expected poverty-fighting impact of an organization's activity for every dollar spent, and compare that to the benefits and costs of other organizations implementing different programs. These estimates are all still just a draft until we sit back down with the organization implementing the program and check our work. We like to say that numbers are a powerful tool, but only when they accurately reflect the work that's happening on the ground. The metrics themselves, they're always changing. We're going through improvements, we're updating them in order to maybe better match the program we're evaluating or add new evidence to refine the various components, the counterfactual, the assumptions we're using. At the end of the day, a metric is really good at telling us the value of a program in terms of increased income and improved health. But we know that metrics don't capture everything. For example, a metric may not measure the sense of security that a mother feels knowing that her child is in an after-school program. For this reason, Constellation always weighs the benefit-cost ratio estimate alongside qualitative considerations. We look at an organization and its staff's proximity to those experiencing poverty in the Twin Cities, the relevancy of an organization's programs to today's challenges, the quality of an organization's leadership, and other aspects to try to use all of the best available information, the quantitative and the qualitative, to make the best possible decisions in the fight against poverty in the Twin Cities that we can. At Constellation, we do all of this work because we believe that smart philanthropy is kind philanthropy. We believe that harnessing all of the best available information, the qualitative and the quantitative, the stories and the science, that's what can underscore what we know and expose what we don't about improving the lives of those living in poverty. And that when thoughtfully used together, this points us towards better outcomes for the individuals and families experiencing poverty here in our community. Thanks for listening.